Well, considering we're multidimensional, we can phase into other dimensions. That's something we're capable of doing now with frequency. So it's really about remodulating the waves, as Nikola Tesla taught us. What I do see is different space-time configuration altogether, and just saying we're done. That's it. Let's move into a different space-time, and that would eliminate everything they're doing here, move us into another, beyond an ascended Earth star, into another location that's in alignment with our divine ascension blueprint.
Okay, now there is sort of a sense that they're manipulating the timelines quite a bit lately, actually, from what I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very interesting. I'm not sure what the purpose is, because one of the things I see them doing is moving them forward, then moving them back a lot. And I think that's a very weird dynamic. Like normally you would expect them to just, if they wanted to manipulate them, move them forward, but that doesn't seem to be what's happening. And so every once in a while, I feel this recalibration happening. And I think people get sort of a sense of dislocation at that point. You know, they're like, they wake up in the morning, they're not sure, you know, what's going on, where we are in the timeline, because it's shifted, and it's actually in some cases shifting back. And I think that's astonishing. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I know that there's been a weaponization of the electromagnetic spectrum. At least that's the whole thing with the Air Force and military covert ops. So it's still not factoring in the different space-time configurations. And what you're describing, in my opinion, is acceleration, deceleration. That's connected to frequency. It has nothing to do with time and the illusion of, in my opinion. Although they're creating an inertia, and they're weaponizing this space-time to such a degree people cannot consciously navigate outside the perimeter. They're creating too much of the interference patterns, especially if you're really good at navigating or you've been interconnected with technology. So that's something I'm looking at. I find it's that illusion that they're creating, that stasis of manipulation based on frequency, that needs to change. And of course, that's how they're speeding up, they're slowing down, they're speeding up. You know, when you start to speed up, you start to phase shift, bilocate. That's the whole deal behind frequency. So you see why they're doing these things. They want to be the controllers, and it almost seems like they're trying to create a mechanism where they can control everybody's evolution, and even when they transfer out where they're heading, or even maybe not heading anywhere. But to me, that seems like their agenda, and it's out of control. It really is. It's not going to succeed. I know it seems like it's going to, but I'm telling you, they're going to flatline. This is not going to work.
Okay, well, that's great to hear, you know, a positive point of view. So just in terms of sort of on a more, I guess you might say, on the ground level, are you aware of, let's say, the role of the Chinese here and the efforts to infiltrate this country in that regard, and perhaps other things going on of that nature? Anything?
I've assessed that a little bit here and there. I know there's a takeover, there's a hijacking in the United States of America. That's quite clear. Whoever is the main party behind it, yeah, I think the Chinese are definitely involved, and some other private investors, in my opinion. So I think it goes way behind Chinese. But I would say not a good scenario. And the fact of the matter is we have people in DC who have allowed this. Our military, in my opinion, has been hijacked. They've allowed it to happen. They've stood down while the whole coup and this whole operation has taken place. A lot of people are dead with this bioweapon, whether it's directed energy weapon or, and you know, the bottom line is people are gone. People are not coming back on that level, and there needs to be accountability. So what I'm seeing here is a complete negligence and rogue situation. So yeah, China, yeah, absolutely involved, in my opinion, too.
Okay, so someone actually, I caught a question here in the chat, which is not not easy to do sometimes the way I have to broadcast now. But the person is asking, why will they fail? So do you have some thoughts on actually why might be partially a question, but how might be a little bit more to the point? Any thoughts on that?
Well, why they're failing insofar as this agenda, it's going to fail because it's not part of the true configuration of true space-time configuration, for one, in my opinion. Another is it's against universal law, universal code. There's a lot of entanglement happening right now with different species. I mean, you're in a biosuit, but there are many different types of beings here. They're putting everybody into one net, and they're interconnecting them and doing nefarious things, which is against universal code and law. So in my opinion, it's epically going to fail at some point in the continuum. And in my opinion, I think it's already failed in the true space-time. It's just a matter of letting it descend here and letting people see the real system.
Okay, well, you know, just to get a little bit more into how, I think might be a little bit more to the point. In other words, one can say, you know, and lots of things seem to happen on this earth that violate what might be called universal law. However, that also, you know, this earth does seem to be something of a free-for-all zone in that regard. So with that in mind, maybe the idea of where their vulnerabilities are, why they might be failing. Certainly, there's a rise in consciousness that is countering what they're doing. And it's kind of a funny dynamic, but from my point of view, whenever they do something, they can't help but reveal themselves. Okay, so they reveal themselves, their methods, their approach, and then people become a bit wiser. Because the more you learn about your predator, the wiser you become, and then the idea of surmounting them.